In this video, I'm going to show exactly how I use BrightLocal for local. If you stay till the end of the video, you're going to get my complete process for setting up BrightLocal and ultimately how I use the data to analyze local SEO and my clients' campaigns. So once you get set up in BrightLocal, you'll see on the left-hand menu, there's a variety of sections within the tool. Now, I always like to start with the location manager and the information in this section. This is where you could input all of your core business data. So you could input your name, the address, phone number, website URL, basically everything you're gonna need for local SEO. You want this to match up with your Google business profile. So it's important to sync that to the account. You also want to make sure your categories are selected and they're the same as your Google business profile. You have your hours put in, descriptions, any additional data that is going to help you when you go to place citation orders, because now you have all this information in one place. Ideally, we should have more media here. For this facility, we only have a couple photos. We actually need to go back and take a few more. So ideally, you want to have all three. I like to a lot of times have at least five, but it's important to get some of that photos of your location in here as well. So that's kind of the core information. If we go to the next section here, you can sync different accounts that you have. There's 5 options here, so you definitely want to use your Google business profile. We're in the process of making a Facebook for this facility, so we will be syncing that once we do. And then you also have Bing, Apple Maps, and your Google Analytics. So for this, really, you're just going to click connect and connect your account and get this saved. And that's going to allow data to flow between these tools. Now, next, we're going to look at ranking data. My favorite report is the local search grid, but we're going to go to the rank tracker first. So this is more of a traditional keyword tracker where you can input target keywords and then it'll track your rankings on Google and then ultimately the change. What's nice about this is you can set this to run at different cadences. So you could run it manually and it'll pull the latest data. You can see I ran it in October and then we just ran it again in November, and I could start to see movement. So for RV storage, we went up, we were number 3, now we're number 1, we went up 2 spots. For self-storage, and you'll see this is tracking organic desktop and organic mobile. Those are the 2 I care most about here, because on the local search grid is where I'm going to track the map rankings a little more specifically. So there's some filtering options you have here to look at desktop, mobile, local packs, but I like to leave that. I really like this visualization as well. You can see the dark green, which is number 1 result. That's gotten bigger, which is what we want to see. So ultimately, you can start to track that here. Now, in the terms of the setup here, if I go to edit report settings, when you initially go to set this report up, this is what you're going to see. So I have my report set to run monthly, but you do have the option of setting it weekly. You could even do ad hoc where you have to manually run it. I like to have this run monthly just so I don't forget, and it always, every month, the latest data will be inputted here. But a lot of customizations. You'll see for keywords, you can track as many keywords as you want. There is some limits on usage though, based on your account, so you do want to double check that. I like to do a variety of types of keywords for local SEO. So I like to have city-based keywords, a near me based keyword, and what I call broad keywords where there's no city or no near me modifier. And that gives me a good sense of how I'm ranking overall. If I'm ranking for storage units near me, I'm probably ranking for self-storage units near me. And then we have the city names and the broad keywords. So those are like the 3 types of keywords I like to make sure are in my account. Now you want to set your location, you want to have your correct website URL, you want all of that. And here's where you could select which elements you want to track. You could actually track Bing as well if you want. And you have options for local, mobile, and Google. Normally I just actually select these 2. Sometimes I'll enable this one as well. And yeah, and then ultimately you could connect the Google business profile here. In fact, I'll probably do that if I type in the business name here and click on that. Now we have our Google business profile. This will more accurately track the local pack. I think that's one of the reasons the local pack wasn't tracking. Then we have business name, phone number, NAP information, and then I'm going to update. And you could even schedule this to be sent at the bottom there if you want to receive email alerts every time the report runs. So that's kind of what this report looks like. And this is going to give you a good sense of just your overall organic rankings. Now, if we actually look at the organic rankings, just so you can visualize what we're tracking. So we have the map listings here, which is going to be tracking the local grid. And then this is the organic rankings right here, these sections. So you can see right now we're in position 5, which is being tracked in that tracking tool. Ultimately, we'll want to see our listing start to move up over time. You can see we're actually running ads here as well in the map listing, and we have text ads running as well. But this tool is tracking the traditional organic rankings. Now, the next tool is the local search grid. This is the one that's going to track your rankings in this map result, which is really important for local SEO. We find almost a 2-to-1 ratio of conversions from the map versus organic, and sometimes it's even much higher. So it's very critical that you're ranking in this map pack, and this is one of the best ways to track where you're actually ranking in this. So really cool report. And again, same thing, it'll run monthly, or if you run it manually, you can do that as well. Like if we look at October 18th, we set up storage units in Navasota, Texas. You can kind of see our facility here and then how we're ranking at different radiuses around our facility. You'll see in this bottom right area is where we actually don't do well. And what I really like is average rank, and then the number of grid points that are green, which is ultimately means we're in the top 3. At the end of the day, you don't need to be number 1. It's nice, but as long as you're in the top 3, you're immediately visible. So these green ranking points are really the first thing I want to see improve. I want to try to get this perfect. You'll see after we did a little bit of SEO work, and actually it was just really 10 days later, we went from 27 in the green up to about 38. And our average map ranking went from a 3.8 to a 3.1. And then just a couple of days later, we improved up to a 3, and now we have 41 in the green. So we're getting close to fully having at least top 3 coverage for this keyword. And this report really allows me to track that. Now, if I click into here, you can see I have my other keywords. These other ones we're not doing as well for. So you can see some of those here. If I switch over to storage units near me, we can start to see what the grid looks like. So we have a lot of work to do here to get our rankings to improve for these near me searches. That's why it's important to have these different types of keywords inputted in here so you could really track that on a monthly basis. Now, what's also great about this, it shows you who the competitors are. And one of my favorite things is if I click on one of the competitors, I can see their grid. So this company here is clearly the number 1 company from an SEO standpoint in the space here. These are the ones we ultimately need to surpass. They're pretty much number 1 everywhere except right here. So this is ultimately and right here, and this is what we want to get our map to look like. At a glance, you can quickly see some data that is kind of lining up with ranking factors. So I could see how many backlinks. Again, these numbers aren't perfectly accurate. I prefer to use Ahrefs or SEMrush to really get the backlink data, but at a quick glance, I could see that's probably an opportunity. My authority and my backlink are as good as the number 1 result. So that's one takeaway you can have by looking at this. We just started getting more reviews. So originally when I ran this report, we actually had, I think, 6 or 7 reviews. So we're starting to generate more reviews. So I always like to look at quality and quantity. And then it's nice to have the categories here. So we could see how our categories are structured and see kind of what, if we're using the proper primary and secondary categories. So this is a nice snapshot of just who the competitors are, where we stand, and ultimately what we need to do. So if we go back to what's cool about this report is we could see we were actually in 4th place overall with a 3.8. And in just maybe 3 weeks, we've moved up to 3rd place and surpassed this company that's still at a 3.8. So we're making progress. Ultimately, we still have more work to do here, but this is a really great way to track. This is also a great report for clients. Clients love this report because it's really easy to visualize what's happening, and it's really easy to visualize the change. When I 21 orange, and now we're down to, if we pull this up here, only 8, it's easy to see the progress that we've made in the local map rankings. Now, as far as setup for this, it's very similar to the previous one. You want to make sure you have your right data and the right business selected. Then you have your map criteria settings. I normally go 5 miles for storage. For this one, I wanted to extend it out a little bit further. And then grid size is ultimately all the different points you're tracking. Now in BrightLocal, there are credits that are utilized for this. So I like to do the 7x7, but if you have a higher tier plan, you could actually get larger grids and really show your rankings even further around your facility. What's important to note is like how far you think customers are going to drive. And that's typically a good way to gauge the mileage that you want to set. And then the grid size is more down to your budget because you do need to pay more to get more grid points. So, but that's all customizable here. Now, as far as keywords, this is where you input keywords. I have 5 keywords available. You could extend this BrightLocal and get more. That you can see there's add-ons here where you can pay for those, but 5 tends to work for me. I like to have city keywords, as I was discussing earlier, near me keywords, a broad keyword, and then if there's different types of services for storage, usually that'll be like RV, boat, vehicle, climate control, maybe business storage, any other storage types that we offer. I like to have some of those variations in here as well. And then finally, the scheduling. I always like to have these at least run monthly. You could do weekly if you wanted to, but monthly tends to work for me because I'm more looking at the long-term progress with these reports. You could also run them manually, even if you have it on a schedule. Now, the white label version, this is more if you have clients and you want to white label BrightLocal, you can do that. You could have like a custom report. You could also trigger emails anytime a report's complete, but I tend to log into the tool enough that I don't need to do that. So I'm going to cancel out of this. The next sections are citation tracking and citation builder. So these are the citation tools for BrightLocal. So citation tracker is a good way to gauge just a quick look at your citation profile. And you can see which citations you have. There's sometimes statuses here. So it looks like there's actually a duplicate here that we can investigate. If I click on this, it'll give me some more information. And this one is because we're doing a citation campaign through the citation builder. So we have a little bit more here. But I really like to look for the NAP errors so I can quickly see if there's any issues. And let's see right now. So this one, it actually looks like we have an incorrect address and also business name here. So this would be worth investigating and making sure that this profile gets updated. And then you could actually, after you make the updates to your profile on this platform, you can click refresh and it'll actually refresh the data. So it pulls there. So that's really the main way I use this report, is just to kind of see how I'm doing on citations. You'll notice key citations. So these are the most important ones, but then you could also do total citations, how many citations we have, because we're currently doing a citation building campaign. So you can see that number starting to grow. You can actually see a bunch of data from BrightLocal here on exactly which profiles we've been building out. And then we also have competitors as well, which is always interesting to see where your competitors are getting featured in terms of citations, and you can see which ones. So here we can see this competitor looks to be on this platform or this citation, so maybe it's worth us exploring. And all of that can be done here. And you have the same kind of thing. You have settings, and you can rerun this report. I'll just go into the settings quickly. So for the settings, really the main, most critical stuff are going to be your business details. This is where you want everything to be accurate and to match your Google business profile. Citation builder, so you can build citations directly in BrightLocal. You'll see we have an active campaign running for this one actually right now that's almost complete. We ordered 50 citations. We can see how many are live, how many were updated. We can actually see a bunch of details here. If you click on this, often you'll get like username and password info and different things for these citations. So really good way to, if you're using BrightLocal to build the citations, just to keep an eye on everything and to have everything in one place. You don't have to use BrightLocal to do this. You could do it manually. And there's a lot of other providers of citations. You get the convenience factor if you're already using the reporting in BrightLocal. It's kind of nice to have everything in one place, but you don't need to use BrightLocal to do the citation building. There's tons of options now. You could also do the data aggregators in here as well. You could see the ones that we have for this, and they give you a lot of certain citations require a phone verification. So if you click see notes, you can finalize that, and that's something we need to do on this one. And that'll be right at the top to get the citations complete. Now, I'm not using Reputation Manager for this account, but this would be where you could set up review monitoring and you could manage and reply to reviews directly in BrightLocal. I personally don't use this, but you do have the option assuming you're in the higher tier plan that has this feature. We're on, I think, the second tier, so we don't have access to this feature. We sort of do this in different ways, but it does make it clean, easy to manage and respond to reviews if that's something you're doing. So a lot of our clients will respond to the reviews on their side, so we don't always do that. There are certain clients where we will do it for them, but for this one, we don't have this set up. Now, the Business Post Scheduler, this is a really good feature that we're going to start using for this facility here. You could actually schedule out your posts. So you don't have to log in every week or bi-weekly, whatever your cadence is for doing Google Business Posts. You could just schedule them all out in here and schedule out your month. So we tend to like to do this one day in the beginning of the month, and we schedule one post per week. We have a variety of different types of posts we like to use. For storage, we're big on whatever the promo or discount we're running. We like to have that in a post once a month. So sometimes it'll be first month free or dollar move-in or 50% off first 2 or 3 months. Whatever the promo is that we're running, we'll typically make an image in Canva that promotes the discount, and we'll have some copy for it. Then we like to feature reviews. So we'll actually post one of our good recent reviews that we've gotten in a Google Business Post. So we'll also do that there. Sometimes we'll also try more like value prop type things on like how we're different from other facilities. And that's another style of post. And then occasionally we'll also kind of post links to our latest blog posts. But we have a variety of kind of types that we'll use for this. But this post scheduler definitely comes in handy to get these scheduled throughout the month. So you don't need to do this every single week. The Google Business Profile Audit, I really like this. So it gives you some of your Google Business Profile data, which I tend to like to pull this into Looker Studio. At some point, I'll do a video on my local SEO Looker Studio dashboard, which pulls in Google Business, Google Search Console, and GA4 data to make a local SEO report. I find that report is much better than what you get out of here, but this information is there. I think this is the more important part, is clicking on these keywords and now seeing a snapshot of your competitors and what they're doing to rank. In the previous rank tracker, we saw some of this data, but this gives us a little bit more. It also gives us the number of photos each competitor has, and it gives us how many key citations and regular citations each competitor has, and if they actually have a verified Google Business Profile. So at a glance, you can see what you need to focus on. This is not a very competitive market. If I click on this one, it's a much more competitive market, as you'll see. So the top competitors are doing a lot of local SEO work. You'll see they have a high percentage of citations, a big quantity of citations, big backlink profiles, a ton of reviews. You'll see the top 3 have over 100 reviews, and typically even more than that. 4.7 to 4.9 rating. Photos are interesting. There's not a ton of photos. Usually I see more for some of the larger companies, like 10, 15, 20 different photos, but we're not seeing that here, which is kind of interesting. So really nice report to be able to just quickly do a competitor analysis. I like to run this when I'm working with a new facility, so I can quickly see like where we may need to focus in this market. Are citations a big ranking factor? You'll notice here the bottom 5 have a lot less citations than the top 5. They also typically, looking at this report, have a lower percentage of the key citations. The top 3 are all over 50% almost. So those are kind of the things I look for with this report, but it's a nice way to quickly analyze competitors and get the data for you automatically, so you don't need to manually go to each one of these one by one. Now, the local search audit, I prefer the Google Business Profile audit. Sometimes people will use this for lead generation, a report to send to leads to show them like, here's some opportunities you have to like automate a report. I don't tend to use this very often, but it does give you sort of an audit that you could share with clients on things that can be improved. I have my own local SEO audit, in which I did a video on that recently. Definitely check that out. That goes through a ton of different checkpoints in a Google Sheet that look at pretty much all aspects of local SEO. So your Google Business, your citations, your backlinks, content, it covers really everything. So that's my preferred method. But if you need a really quick one, this can sometimes get the job done just to get you going here. So you'll see it looks at citations, it looks at reviews. You'll see pulls in your last 10 reviews. It does have that Google Business Profile audit that we just looked at, which I really like. It'll try to show you if there's any on-page SEO opportunities. So again, it's a nice way to get a quick report, and sometimes it can make sense to use for lead generation purposes as well. And if we go to actions, you can actually download it as a PDF. So that's where you can kind of use it for lead gen. I can click this, and now I have my branded version of this. So if I was to use it for lead gen or send to clients, you can sort of brand this report as well. And then for Google Analytics, this will pull in some data for you. Again, I have reports in Looker Studio, and I will do a video on that, breaking that down. That tends to be where I like to do all my analysis and all my data. But if you connect your Google Business, you can get some kind of organic traffic and website traffic data inside of your BrightLocal account. And then white label settings, that's how you white label your account if you are gonna share this with clients and you wanna have all your branding on there. So those are the main things. Only other thing there is for agencies, some features like the lead generator. That's a form you can put on your website where it will do one of those local search audits. So you could have a form to capture leads on your website and people can request local search audits. It's actually a nice feature and it's something I tested for a little while, but we've actually changed our offer on our website to be more of a strategy focused thing instead of this automated report, but you do have the option. So overall, I'm a big fan of BrightLocal. I use it for just about all of my local SEO clients. Keeps things really organized. The ranking data is great. And again, there's other tools. There's a lot of local SEO tools now that do some of these things. Some of them are more cost effective. I find when you start using one, you just get used to it. So it's hard to switch softwares and like change all your processes and have to go through the learning curve. So that's why we've kind of stuck with BrightLocal. We're happy with it overall. And it's one of those tools that we get set up immediately for our clients. That way, so we could start tracking the data and then start doing some of the citation work as well. So that's it for this breakdown. And if you have other tools that you want me to walk through on kind of how I use them and give my opinion, just let me know in the comments of this video.